When you need to send money fast, wire transfers can help you get it where it needs to be safely and securely. While the cost is slightly higher than common peer-to-peer ways of sending money back and forth, there's little waiting for transfers to happen and funds availability is usually immediate. A wire transfer is a term that describes the electronic transfer of money. Most commonly, the term wire transfer refers to bank wires, which transfer money between banks using networks such as the Fedwire Funds Service, Fedwire for short, or Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication, SWIFT. The term wire transfer goes back to when long-distance communication was done over telegraph wires. To send money over long distances, customers would go to a telegraph office and make their payment. The telegraph office would then send a coded message to the telegraph office closest to the recipient. That coded message authorized the release of funds to the person on the other end. Wire transfers are domestic or international, depending on where the transfer originates and its destination. Domestic wire transfers are sent and received in the same country of origin. For example, a wire sent from a bank in New York to one in California would be considered a domestic wire. International wire transfers are those where the sending and receiving banks are located in different countries. For example, if your U.S.-based bank or credit union sends a wire transfer to a bank in Germany, it's considered an international wire transfer. Some electronic funds transfers are referred to as wires but not processed through the most common bank and non-bank networks outlined above. These include ACH transactions. These types of transactions process through the automated clearing house, like electronic checks and bill payments. Peer-to-peer payment tools. PayPal, Cash App, and Venmo allow you to send money directly to people, and you may not need a bank account. When looking for the best way to send money, it's wise to review all the options from wire transfers to P2P payment tools to find the safest and most cost-effective fit for your transaction. Today, wire transfers happen in a wide variety of ways beyond the telegraph wires of yesteryear. No matter the type of wire, there's always a sending and receiving party and an entity in the middle facilitating the transfer. When you initiate a wire through your bank, you'll generally need to provide the following: recipient's name, recipient's bank account number, recipient's routing number, amount of money to be transferred. If you initiate a wire transfer through a non-bank provider like Western Union or MoneyGram, you'll typically need the recipient's name, phone number, and address. Whether you're using a bank or third-party wire transfer provider, you'll need guaranteed funds to initiate your transfer. The money you're sending needs to be paid up front, funded either by your bank account or cash. To start a wire transfer online, you generally need to log into your bank account and navigate to the section for transfers. From there, you'll enter the information mentioned above and transfer funds online without ever having to visit a branch. Banks and credit unions set their own maximum daily limits for wire transfers. However, it's important to know that wire transfers, both domestic and international, are subject to bank scrutiny. Banks must report all wire transfers over $10,000 using a Currency Transaction Report, CTR, and submit it to the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, FinCEN. Banks are also responsible for reporting any suspicious activity, such as a customer trying to send multiple bank wires below $10,000 to avoid having the transaction reported. Suspicious bank wire activity is reported using a Suspicious Activity Report, SAR, and filed with FinCEN. If a bank fails to file the necessary CTRS and SARs, it could be subject to fines for violating banking regulations. Wire transfers typically have processing fees. These fees vary by provider, but a good rule is that domestic wires will cost less than international wires. According to Forbes Advisor's Checking Account Fee Survey, the median incoming domestic wire transfer cost was $5 in 2021, while the median outgoing domestic transfer fee was $25. Outgoing international wire transfers may cost $45 to $50 or more. Many U.S. banks have gotten into the practice of waiving fees for incoming wires and only charge account holders when sending a wire transfer. Check with your financial institution to see if their accounts generally or your particular account tier offers wire transfer fee waivers or reduced fees. You could also find that your bank charges a reduced wire transfer fee if you initiate the transfer through your online banking portal rather than visiting a branch and initiating the wire in person. When sending a wire transfer through a non-bank provider, fees generally depend on the wire amount and several other factors. Non-bank providers have several additional fees that can impact the cost of a wire, including how you fund your wire. There are different fees for using credit cards, debit cards, and funding directly through your bank account. Loyalty programs. Patrons can earn points when sending money and then redeem points for reduced fees. It's good to check all the fees before initiating a transfer. When sending money via wire transfer, transmission times vary. If you're sending money domestically via a bank wire using Fedwire or Swift, many wires are completed the same day, often within a few hours. There's usually a cutoff time for same-day wire transfers, which means if you initiate your transfer by that time, your bank will guarantee the funds will reach your recipient the same day. Wires initiated after that time may take until the next day to process. When using non-bank wire transfers, the processing time varies according to where the money is being received. A wire sent from Ohio to Texas might be ready in as little as 10 minutes, whereas a wire sent from Ohio to Poland could take 24 hours. The speed depends on several additional factors like local banking laws, funds availability, and system availability, whether there's an outage on the non-bank provider's system that delays the transfer. There's generally no hold when wired funds arrive at their destination, so funds are available immediately. International wire transfers can take longer than domestic wires to process because more than one banking system gets involved. For example, an international wire initiated from the United States to France would involve a U.S.-based funds clearinghouse and a France-based funds clearinghouse. This extra step means extra processing time. For those who frequently send money internationally, there are alternatives to international wire transfers to help keep fees down and speed funds along. Compared to putting a check in the mail, wire transfers are considered an extremely safe way to transfer money. They are secure transactions initiated by authorized personnel at your bank or non-bank wire transfer service. Once initiated, they can't be cancelled. That means consumers should be hypervigilant about knowing the people who send funds. Many scam artists try to entice consumers to wire funds instead of mailing a check or using a credit card because bank wires can't be cancelled or reversed once initiated. The only exception to this rule is for international wire transfers, which can be cancelled within 30 minutes of initiation. If you're concerned with fees but still need to send money quickly, there could be alternatives that lower costs and make funds move faster than a paper check. While they're not direct deposit in the same way as your paycheck, apps like Zelle can quickly and immediately send funds directly between bank accounts. While most banks have daily limits on Zelle transfers, Zelle works with nearly any bank account, even if your bank doesn't offer a partnership with Zelle, and there are no fees to send or receive money. If you need to send or receive money quickly but can't wait up to 3 days, the ACH system can help you avoid wire transfer fees and move money faster than a paper check. You can use your bank's built-in transfer feature to add a recipient and process an ACH payment. You'll just need their name and bank account number. Wire transfer is used to send money quickly from one location to another. Let us answer the question: what is a wire transfer? A wire transfer is an electronic way to transfer money. It is also known as bank transfer. Wire transfers have several advantages. This mode of transfer is fast and secure. A wire transfer happens from one bank to another. Wire transfers are used to send money abroad. They are also used to send money to India from abroad. For instance, you stay in the United States, US. Your parents stay in India. You can wire transfer money to your parents. Also, Let us say an Indian student is studying abroad. The student's parents can send money using the wire transfer service. We have now answered the question, what is a wire transfer? Now, let us take a look at how the service works. How does a wire transfer work? In the past, banks used telegraphic wires to transfer money. This is how the term wire transfer was coined. The most common way of wire transfer is through the SWIFT, or Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication Network. The SWIFT network is a messaging protocol. It has over 11,000 banks in 200+ countries in its network. This network is used to send information from one bank to another. It also includes instructions for wire transfer. Let us say a person in the US goes to Bank A. He wishes to transfer some money to India. The account he wants to transfer money to is with Bank B. Bank A sends transfer instructions to Bank B. These instructions would include data. Firstly, the recipient's name and bank account number. It will also have information regarding the transfer amount. Such instructions may not be directly sent from one bank to another. They may be sent via an intermediary bank. One needs to understand that there is no actual transfer of money. The money is deducted from the sender's bank account. It is then added to the recipient's bank account. That's how wire transfer works. Wire transfers are mostly used to send money overseas. Domestic wire transfers take a day. International wire transfers may take up to 5 days or even more. How to do a wire transfer? Let us say you want to send money through wire transfer. You then need to provide the bank with some information. One is the recipient's name and bank account details. The other is the amount of money you want to send. In some cases, you may need to fill up a paper form. Most banks, however, will let you complete the process online. Let's say you are receiving money through telegraphic wire transfer. You will have to send your bank account details to the sender. Costs involved. Wire transfer involves certain costs. The remittance charges are mostly nil. The remitting or intermediary bank may levy a fee. There is a foreign currency conversion charge, which is a flat fee. Service tax is also levied. The service tax is a percentage of the total amount. It varies between 1% and 0.1% of the transferred amount. Wire transfers are thus quick, convenient, and safe. Wire transfers make sending money abroad a breeze. A wire transfer is an electronic funds transfer made by financial institutions like banks, or money transmitters, from the sender to a receiver's bank account. Wire transfers go through a system like SWIFT, the Federal Reserve Bank's Fedwire Funds Service, or the clearinghouse Interbank Payments System, CHIPS. Although wire transfer fees are expensive, wire transfers are safe to use domestically and internationally if the party's identification, bank and account information, physical address, and legitimate transaction purpose, excluding scams, money laundering, or terrorist organizations, can be verified. Types of wire transfers include domestic and international. In the United States, domestic wires are less expensive and usually quicker to settle than international wire transfers. Networks for sending domestic U.S. wire transfers include the Fedwire Funds Service and Clearinghouse Interbank Payments System, CHIPS. International wire transfers, remittance transfers, are more complex than domestic wire transfers. In many developed countries with adequate banking systems, international wire transfers can be completed in 1 to 3 or 5 business days for the receiving bank to get the funds. Most international wire transfers go through the SWIFT network as SWIFT payments, using a SWIFT code, also known as a BIC, Bank Identifier Code. SWIFT stands for Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication. Some countries, like European Union, EU, members, use the IBAN code for wire transfers to identify international bank accounts. Once a wire transfer is sent, the sender may be unable to get their money back. Wire transfers can't be cancelled after being sent. And scammers like to use wire transfers. These scammers could pull con schemes or commandeer a bank account to send wire transfers without the owner's knowledge or permission. To somewhat mitigate risks of transactions to wire money, and for other types of payments, U.S. financial institutions have security policies, including Know Your Customer, KYC, and screening against blacklists like OFAC, Office of Foreign Assets Control, maintained by the U.S. Department of Treasury. Benefits of wire transfers. Benefits of wire transfers include speed, network security, large wire transfer amounts possible, easy currency exchange. Benefits of wire transfers include the speed of receipt of wire transfer funds versus sending checks and sending/receiving network security. For large money transfers, wire transfer limits may be higher than other payment types, making them ideal for significant business and real estate transactions. A wire transfer, which is a type of electronic transfer of funds between financial institutions, works as follows. The sender's bank gets information on the wire amount, the sender's and recipient's information, including legal name, physical address, contact information, country, bank, branch, routing, SWIFT, or BIC code, bank account number, or IBAN for wire transfers, and reason for the transaction. The sender pays the amount of the wire transfer to their bank before the wire transfer is sent to the recipient, using money from a bank account type that is a checking account, savings account, or money market account. The sender's bank provides wire instructions through a secure wire transfer network for the wire transfer to the recipient's bank, and any intermediary banks. Wire transfer networks include Fedwire or CHIPS for domestic wire transfer transactions and SWIFT for international wire transfer transactions. The recipient's bank account receives funds for the wire transfer amount from their own bank. The receiving and sending banks settle the wire transfer transaction. Wire transfers can be made through online banking, in person at a bank, through a mobile app, or through a money transmitter company online or at the money transfer company location. Businesses can use their line of credit to pay for a wire transfer by sending the money needed for a wire transfer to their designated bank account. What information is needed to make a wire transfer? The information needed to make a wire transfer depends on whether it's domestic or international. These transactions go through different wire transfer networks. Information for domestic U.S. wire transfer. In the U.S., for sending a domestic wire transfer from a financial institution, you'll need the following information. Name of sending and receiving financial institution. Applicable bank branch. Name of the sender. Name of the bank account holder for receiving funds, per a government-issued ID. Phone numbers of sender and receiver. Physical address of the recipient. Bank routing number, ABA number, for wires. Bank account number of the recipient. Dollar amount of money for the wire transfer. The recipient may also be called the beneficiary and their bank account is referred to as a beneficiary account. Money transfer companies that offer wire transfer services may not need the recipient's bank account number and require upfront payment with cash or a debit card. If credit cards are allowed, the fees are higher. Money transfer companies will issue a tracking number that can be furnished to the recipient. For money transmitter companies like Western Union or MoneyGram, the recipient will need to present their ID to obtain the money at a bank branch or specific store location. PayPal wire transfers can be sent by PayPal account holders, requiring an email address or phone number of the recipient instead of their bank account number. Information for international wire transfer. To send an international wire transfer from a financial institution, you'll need the following information. Name of sending and receiving financial institution. Applicable bank branch. Country of recipient. Name of the sender. Name of the bank account holder for receiving funds, recipient's name. Phone numbers of sender and receiver. Physical address of the recipient. SWIFT/BIC code or IBAN, international bank account number. Amount of the wire transfer. Purpose of the transaction. What are the differences in wire vs ACH? Although wire transfers, wire payments, and ACH bank transfers are both transfers to external bank accounts, comparing ACH versus wire transfers reveals the key differences. Differences between ACH and wire transfer. Differences between ACH and wire transfer include: ACH is US domestic only, a wire transfer is domestic or international. Settlement speed for funds availability. Batch vs individual transactions. Cost in fees. Ability to cancel a transaction. Ability to reverse erroneous transactions. Transaction size limits. ACH can only be used for electronic bank transfers within the United States. Wire transfers can be sent globally, including domestic and international locations. Domestic banks and credit unions in the U.S. are NACA direct members authorized to use the automated clearing house. Funds availability. Wire transfers have funds available when they reach the payee's receiving bank account. ACH transactions must still clear the ACH network to become available. Batch vs. individual transactions. ACH transactions are batched, whereas wire transfers are individual transactions. Costs/fees. ACH transactions may be free at some banks. Pricing for both ACH and wire transfers is determined by each bank or money transmitter. Wire transfer fees are always higher than ACH fees. The cost for wire transfers includes outgoing wire transfer fees, incoming wire transfer fees, intermediary bank fees, and other costs. Cancellation and reversal. Wire transfers are final, with no ability to cancel once the funds are sent, even if they go to a fraudster or the wrong account. An ACH bank transfer can be cancelled and may be reversed for errors. Transaction size limits. Wire transfers may be made for large amounts, especially when using banks rather than money transfer companies. Effective March 2022, a NACA rule change increases same-day ACH per transaction size from $100,000 to $1 million. The $1 million same-day ACH limit is still too small for M&A deals or some other types of business transactions. Deeper dive on ACH. ACH bank account to bank account electronic transfer goes through the automated clearinghouse ACH operators, as bank transfers made domestically in the U.S. between banks or credit unions that are NACA members subject to NACA rules compliance. The two ACH operators in the United States are the Federal Reserve Banks and Electronic Payments Network, EPN. ACH, one e-payments type, which can be debit or credit, is used within the U.S. for electronic bank transfer payments by an originating bank sender acting for the payer and a receiving bank for the payee. ACH payments may be authorized as recurring electronic payments from a bank account. ACH can also be used for direct deposit of payroll to employee bank accounts. The term global ACH can be used to describe global bank-to-bank transfers going through networks similar to the automated clearinghouse when these payments are made internationally rather than for two-sided transactions within the U.S. The following FAQs address and answer common questions about wire transfers. How long does a wire transfer take? A wire transfer can be completed domestically within 24 hours. An international wire transfer generally takes between 1 and 3 to 5 business days, not including bank holidays or weekends. Intermediary banks, errors, and other snags, including regulatory, can delay the process. Some countries are slow to pay, according to Bank of America. Wire transfer fees include fees charged to the sender, intermediary bank fees for international wire transfers, receiving bank fees, lost wire transfer investigation fees, wrong account reversal fees, foreign currency conversion fees at varying exchange rates for any wire transfer not paid in US dollars, and miscellaneous fees. Wire transfers are safe if sent by a legitimate sender to a legitimate receiver, using the correct bank and account details. Use a wire transfer when you can justify the cost of a wire transfer, need to transfer a large amount, decide that it's the best way to transfer money for a particular purpose, know or verify the receiving party's legitimacy, and believe the wire transfer can be received within the time requirements. For example, the significant amount of proceeds from a real estate transaction or a business M&A transaction may justify using a bank wire transfer because of its cost and size. Wire transfers are secure and can help you get your money to whomever you're paying with little delay. While the cost may be higher than some other payment methods, you'll have peace of mind knowing that your money will arrive on time and be ready to use. Thank you for watching this video.